Ellen White's writings, Child Guidance, she says, "The history of the songs of the Bible is full of suggestions as to the uses and benefits of music and song. Music is often perverted to serve purposes of evil, and it thus becomes one of the most alluring agencies of temptation. But rightly employed, it is a precious gift of God, designed to uplift the thoughts to high and noble themes, to inspire and to elevate the soul." So music is a blessing. Music is a God-designed thing to basically uplift our minds to Him. So music is a good thing. In Christian education, she goes on to say, "Music was made to serve a holy purpose, to lift the thoughts to that which is pure, noble, and elevating, and to awaken in the soul devotion and gratitude to God." So if we are to judge music, if we are to evaluate it, what should music be doing to us? One, should it be serving a holy purpose for everything we do in our life? Should it lift our thoughts to that which is pure, noble, and elevating? I think so. I think that's the type of music God has desired for us to listen to. Now, how many people here know where all this sin originated from? What was the starting factor of this? It was Lucifer in heaven, wasn't it? And if we have a look at Ezekiel 28, it basically tells us that he was the covering cherub way before Eden, up when everything was pure in heaven. And there's an amazing verse in Ezekiel 28:13 here that says, "You were in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was your covering, the sardius, topaz, and diamond, beryl, onyx, and jasper, sapphire, turquoise, and emerald with gold. The workmanship of your timbrels," now listen carefully, "the workmanship of your timbrels and pipes was prepared for you on the day you were created." Now, timbrels and pipes, what are they? They're musical instruments. So Lucifer was given one of the highest roles in heaven next to Jesus Christ. And the specialty that God gave him, besides his beauty and glory, was musical instruments, music. Lucifer was in charge of basically taking the gospel message to all the heavenly realms, to all the other planets, and he'd also bring them music. He'd go there and probably play and perform for them and just bring them into that worship state of God. But unfortunately, as we know, Lucifer fell from heaven, and with him he brought a third of the stars, or a third of the angels from heaven. And because of that now, he's here on earth, and there is absolute chaos. But in your own minds, what do you think was the one thing that Lucifer brought with him? If he was good at something in heaven, do you think he would have brought it down here to earth and tried to twist it? Do you think music could be one of those things that he tries to twist? Here's a quote from philosopher Aristotle back in the 1340s. He goes on to say, "Music directly represents the passions or states of the soul's gentleness. Anger, courage, temperance. If one listens to the wrong kind of music, he will become the wrong kind of person." You see, even these philosophers from the secular age back in the past knew the power of music, how it could influence minds, how it could create and change moods of people, how it could even incite people to revolt or rebellion. Here's a quote from Dr. Richard Pellegrino. He's a brain specialist, and he goes on to declare that music has the unusual power to trigger a flood of human emotions and instantaneously create very powerful changes in emotional state. So even modern experts today know the power of music, know that it has this amazing power to create chemical reactions in the brain which can change someone's mood from happy to sad to joyous. Even our medical experts know the power of music. Robert Jourdain goes on to say, Music seems to be the most immediate of all the arts. Music possesses us. It's really as if some other has entered, not just our bodies, but our intentions, taking us over. It's an interesting thing how he uses the word possesses us. Because how many times have you been in the car and you've just been listening to music, and say if it's, you could be listening to opera music and driving along, having a peaceful time, and suddenly you turn the radio channel and suddenly there's some hardcore rap or rock on, and someone cuts you off in the car, and then suddenly you're screaming at them and yelling, and I went through a lot of that when I was young, and yeah, music really had a controlling factor over to me, where I was a lot of the times very violent and aggressive on the road, and just from my own example, I can see that. But music does have this power to take control of us sometimes. But could there be anything more behind that? Could there be some kind of form of possession? Just a thought to think about. Robert Johnson. This man, you could say, was the one who kicked off the music industry. He was one of the first great artists of his time. And he's got an amazing story behind his road from, you could say, rags to riches. And we're going to have a brief look at that, because a lot of people just on the outside just see these characters as being singers. Even some of them are very clean cut. But the thing is, you really need to delve deep into a person's life to try to figure out what goes on behind the scenes and try to understand if that person's good to listen to or not. So Robert Johnson is one example of this. He was one of the first great, you could say, blues guitarists, blues and rhythm guitarists of his time, and that eventually turned into rock and roll, and that's where we get a lot of the rap and R&B and hip hop and blues and jazz and all that kind of music today. And he was one of the big artists of the scene back in his days. An interesting quote by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They say, "Robert Johnson's songs are the bedrock upon which modern blues and rock and roll were built." So even people in the industry realize just the role that he played in this whole music scene. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame goes on to say, "Robert Johnson stands at the crossroads of American music, much as a popular folk legend has it. He once stood at the Mississippi crossroads and sold his soul to the devil in exchange for guitar playing powers." It's a pretty interesting statement. Sold his soul to the devil in exchange for guitar playing powers. Now, why would they make a statement like that? Is it just something cool that they say? Well, let's take a little bit of a deeper look. Here is the crossroads of, I think it's Route 49 and 51, but don't quote me on that. But yeah, this is where apparently, I'll tell you the story. Apparently Robert Johnson, he was basically he liked to play the guitar in his hometown, and he would play the guitar, but the problem was he had no skill. He was tone deaf, you could say, because a lot of the times he would go around